back to That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.
And we're back from New York. Some people wouldn't believe this, but just a couple of weeks ago, the state of Washington, here in the U.S., passed a law in which, or guidance at least, in which they have said in writing in the guidance for the local public schools that if a school district wishes to help a child transition fully from the gender that they are, the sex that they are, to the opposite, that they will only release that information on people to people that are deemed important enough to know. And in the same guidance, the exact language says that parents do not necessarily qualify for that definition. I don't know of a more invasive or a more, hurtful approach to public policy than what we're seeing right now in terms of the transition movement and this emphasis on children doing it as quickly as possible. But a lot of groups are speaking out about it. I've told you a lot about the excellent documentary over at Independent Women's Forum called Identity Crisis. It's got a 10-part pieces to it now. You need to go and watch that. But the America First Policy Institute, which is really setting the tone for what a new administration will be about, should that person be a Donald Trump or someone that is America First in their approach to policy, is actually speaking out about this. And I think it's courageous that they do so, because not a lot of their contemporaries in the think tank space have. And Ashley Hayek is the chief engagement officer for them in that capacity. Ashley, I said before the break that the most cruel element of all of this is that you actually now have the government taking hostile positions against its constituents. What should the response of government be?
Government should stay out of our lives in terms of any of these issues. Parents should have control over their children's education, being able to provide medical service as they need. But the problem is, the government is pushing this. The medical institutions in some cases are also pushing this, the transgenderism and the gender hormone therapy and surgeries. There's a great book by Abigail Shrier called Irreversible Damage, and it came out in 2020. And, I went through that book, and it's absolutely shocking how so many people who are part of the medical community and the transgender community and very supportive, they fell victim to everything that's happened. A lot of these kids who were seeking help for gender dysphoria had other underlying mental health issues that were never addressed. It's, if you don't feel like yourself, well, then maybe you're not really a girl. Maybe you're actually a boy. And then they get pushed through this system that takes away control from parents and brainwashes these kids into something that really isn't.
Well, and on some level, and people that are parents would know this, but the left is having fewer children each year. So they're coming to a less of an understanding of this. But if you've had a daughter, or if you've been a daughter, there is nothing about the early teenage, late single-digit years that is pleasant about changing from one stage of life to another. It's very awkward. There's a lot of social awkwardness. There's a lot of emotional uncertainty, and you feel like you just don't want to be yourself sometimes. And it appears to me that the people that are pushing this are not trying to help young people, particularly young women, find answers. They're trying to exploit opportunities to do what you just mentioned, brainwash them into another mindset that violates not only what their normal healthy norms will eventually grow out of and become comfortable with adulthood, but also the faith of their family, the love and safety of a secure home. I mean, there's so much writing on this.
That's right. And make no mistake, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So if you look at the executive at Vanderbilt University, when they were exposed, they said, if we do a chest removal surgery, that's tens of thousands of dollars. If we do this procedure, it's this amount of money that the hospital makes. That is not why you give care. That is not care at all. Yeah. So to call this not only gender affirming care, but then to do it for the sake of lining your pocketbook is disgusting. And the ones who are victims are really these children. And you have to think in the book that I just referenced, she has multiple stories of parents who said, well, maybe I can help be supportive of my child. But ultimately, once the child went down this path, once a child is on puberty blockers, the likelihood of them going the full gender therapy and the surgery is about 80% plus. And that's absolutely astonishing, especially, like I said, when so many of them don't carry it with them into adulthood. There needs to be a level of compassion. We need to get to the bottom line of, the mental health crisis that's going on and address the root cause of why this child is experiencing so much anxiety, not, okay, what do we do to make a dollar and, completely change and wreck this child's life.
Can you just tell us how people can support what you're doing and how they can be in touch?
Absolutely. Sign up at americafirstpolicy.com.
Ashley Hayek, thanks for stopping by. Come back anytime.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Kevin McCullough coming right back from Times Square. Don't go away.
Ready or not, he'll be right back. That Kevin